Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're covering the second InuYasha movie, The Castle Beyond the Looking Glass.
Yes.
No, it's not Alice in Wonderland.
Now, after seemingly defeating Naraku, it appears to be the end of their journey. Instead, leads to InuYasha and the rest facing a new threat of a mysterious demon princess named Kaguya.
Yes. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click notification when they update on future podcasts and all the pause videos.
And she seemed to be more of a threat than Naraku.
Yeah, somehow. So, yeah, the movie starts with them battling Naraku. It looks like he exploded. And they're like, oh, that's it. We got the jewel piece, but I guess we're done here. It's just like, wow, you're just done now.
And I'm like, finally, I was so happy. Like, finally, he's gone.
Yeah, like, okay, we're done here, bye! Like, wow, you're too quick to get on with everything, and, Moroku's, wind tunnel thing is gone, and the curse seems to be gone. I'm like, oh, maybe it means he is gone, and you're thinking, wow, so what's the rest of the series gonna be? Because it actually tricks you for a minute. Then you realize, well, if this was the end, there wouldn't be more seasons or anything.
But you don't realize that. We don't realize that.
Right.
And we're excited and happy and seeing what else is going to happen. Unfortunately, Kikyo was still in here.
It's like, good grief. Like, how are you still here? And in here, they kind of take this. I think this is where Tiger and Bunny got the inspiration from for the Rising movie, where this princess based off an old Japanese poem or fairy tale about the Kaguya. And they tell you the poem as they're doing these different steps, and it turns out to be a real person. And they're doing these different steps that correlate with the poem in order to bring her back to life. But if she's brought back to life, then really she'll wreak havoc everywhere. It was sort of like with the first movie, where the villain of that movie was affecting the past, the present, and the future. And if they weren't stopped, whole time the movie messed up. So it was a similar thing here, where she could mess with it, but she didn't get to the point of the first one. And it was more of going after the desires of the dreams, so she could mess with people's minds. Like, they'll be in a dream state, like they're thinking they've almost won, and then they wake up and they haven't left where they've been standing, and she puts them in this dreamlike state with it.
Right. And she affects every single person differently.
Right.
So it's kind of like when you see Scarecrow and he does the fear gas and everyone has their own fear. Well, everyone in here had their own dream.
Right.
And they had to realize that this isn't what was happening. And InuYasha, she wanted to keep away.
Right.
And her goal with his dream was to make him think that he was not near her.
Right.
And he kept getting pushed further and further away, trying to battle her, and every time he was way outside of where she was.
Right. It was just like Inception before it was a movie. And they also touch on again where he still has his goal of becoming a full demon when he gets all the jewel shards. And from this point, it looks like they're nearly done getting all the pieces. They clearly have to stretch it out, but when they have the jewel, it's nearly done. There's maybe a few pieces left before it's completely filled up, completely recovered. So we know there's a shard with Koga. We know there's one with Sango's brother. We know there's some pieces left, but it is getting pretty close already with just being 3 seasons and 2 movies in.
Yes.
So with this, you're kind of thinking, oh, they ended the journey pretty soon, and that means they're going to have an easy time finding the rest of the jewels. Until, like you said, they bring this woman here, and it gets way more complicated.
And she was really tough to beat, but that didn't matter because Naraku brings his back.
Right.
But that.
Right, it's like, oh gosh, now we got 2 of you.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's like we got 2 of you now.
And we thought about the He-Man series is Master of the Universe.
Yeah.
And how Skeletor comes out of the orb that Evelyn has.
Yeah.
Well, here Naraku does the same thing, so now we know where they got it from.
Right.
It's like, we thought you were gone. He's like, ha, here I am. You thought it was gone, but no, I'm still here.
Right. It's like, I was hiding in so-and-so. It's like,
yeah.
How'd you do that?
It was the exact same thing that happened in Master of the Universe reboot, so we know where they got it from.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's like, no, please go away. No, he's he's not gone. He's back for the next season.
Right. Well, I will say one thing that was interesting aside from the action, it did still have some great action in here.
Definitely.
Is that you kind of see what would have happened if the journey had ended much sooner than expected. Because, like I said, it kind of felt weird because it felt like, oh, this is it. They're like, oh, I guess we're done, and they feel kind of weird now being around each other because it's been so long. And the movie kind of really slows down after the opening scene. There's a lot of talking, a lot of just something back to what they were doing. Kagome's back in the present. She's not going back and forth long periods anymore.
Naraku feels useless because it's gone, and he's like, I can't do anything. I can't help you, and all he can do is put those strips of paper with the it's not the curses, but the curse breakers, or to bind them, the binding papers.
Right.
And he feels like he's not doing anything anymore.
So now he wants to find like a new purpose that's not licentious to to be a monk. And then Sango wants to look for the brother again because that's the only family she had left, and InuYasha's just kind of there.
And they were thinking that because Naraku was gone, that he would be released and that his memory would come back.
Yeah, and it kind of didn't. Unfortunately, I guess that was the clue that he wasn't totally gone. Right. But it was very convincing for a while because you think about it, InuYasha was just like, well, nothing for him to do now other than wait to get the other jewel shards. There's not much else, but he's still trying to become full demon. So he was just kind of like, oh, it's just kind of boring now. There's nothing to do now.
But all in all, this was a great movie. It was entertaining, lots of action. Like you said, after the lull in the beginning, all the characters appear in here, and you find out again Naraku is not gone. Sango's brother is still not released from his control. And when you go back to the next season, it's gonna be picked up where they left off in the movie. So the movie's canon.
Right. And it doesn't really interfere with anything, kind of like the MHA movies.
Right.
But it's still pretty very enjoyable. It's not the same caliber as the first movie, but it was still one of the better movies out of the four.
And you can watch this movie without having seen season 4. It's okay. You can watch 3 and 4 and then watch the movie, or you can watch season 3 and then watch the movie like we did because we couldn't wait. And it didn't affect your viewing. Nothing happened in it that you didn't know. The only difference is we knew about Ren because I read about Ren and her character for the Yashahime spinoff. So I knew who she was. So when Ren appeared in here, you weren't going, well, who is she and why is she here? Because we knew about her from Yashahime spinoff.
Right.
So other than that, you can watch this anytime you like and still enjoy this movie. If you've seen InuYasha the Castle Beyond the Looking Glass, let us know what you think in the comments below. Did you love it? Did you find it to be not as great as the first one like we did? Or did you think it was just as fantastic as the first one? If you haven't seen it, it was supposed to be off Netflix, but it's still on there, and you can also see them online.
Yes, which is
on
perfect.
YouTube.
Yeah. So be sure to like, subscribe, and click notification bell if there's some future podcasts and more pause videos.
And more InuYasha podcasts.
Of course, until we reach the very end, because once we finish that,
this is the final cut.
The final act.
Final act.
And because once we do that, then next will be Yashahime.
Well, Yashahime is going to be sooner because we're watching it now, currently on Tuna.
Oh, that's true too. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Mask Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.